Oh, Nat.
Which means I can't see.
Maybe you need to wear my Jurgens.
No, because I've taken my... See, what usually happens is I wear my contact lenses, and then I've got some glasses that I put over my contact lenses for my reading glasses. Those won't do anything. I haven't got any contact lenses in. Those won't work. I hate those so much. Mark, it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. With your bouffant Jurgen hair and your Jurgen glasses.
What's wrong with my bouffant hair?
Mark, you look totally Swedish.
I am Swedish. My name is Jurgen. I like
Mark's
techno.
become obsessed with being either Swedish or Finnish. I can't read anything, so you're going to have to read. Because my glasses don't.
So you just, look at you.
I'll have
if
to
you go
sit
further
this,
back,
yeah, if I sit
what
back
can you
here,
see?
I can read, but if I go any nearer than that, I can't read it. I can't read that.
That's a minute spent talking about Nadia's inability to see your comments.
But now I can see them this far away.
Look, you got a blue eye.
Because
What's
basically...
happened?
Oh, look. The girls are out. They're telling you that you look lovely.
Minky Moo, I'm in a Radiohead mood tonight, so not sure this is going to help me. What Radiohead has in the band, it's quite bleak, isn't it? It's quite.
Or you want to listen to radio?
Oh, a Radiohead. That's quite good. I've never thought of a Radiohead being someone who's into the radio. I just think of Radiohead. Are you a Radiohead band, or do you find them a bit miserable?
No, too miserable for me.
Okay.
Too miserable.
Thank you for all your comments, many of you, under the Instagram post that I posted saying thank you to this dear specimen of beauty.
Of loveliness.
Oh, God, I missed your leg. I can't see it.
Of womanhood.
Do you need to clear your throat?
I've got such a tickle.
So have I.
Not with those Jurgen glasses.
Oh, I have. What about
There
if I
are
do
no
this?
kind of promise with those on.
Oh, wow.
Mark, stop it. Mark, you look stupid.
I always look stupid. That's what I do on this
I
channel.
think I might have to have a brandy.
Get one in.
I've got such a tickle in my throat.
If I could, I would. So why don't you?
Because it would probably make me feel bad.
I did a live last night talking about drink and travel and other naughty things.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
Check it out. We love Lucid. And on
Show
Instagram.
them my beautiful flowers.
Oh, from this
Aren't they
breakfast.
gorgeous?
Oh, that just went in my
Went to a
eyeball.
really girly event today, and
It's
they
just
gave
gone
us
in
all
my eyeball.
flowers.
Are they real?
Of course.
Are they real? Jenny Scam, Mark, Sean Thomas, hello. The only and one and only band Radiohead, says Minky Moo. It is.
You are the one and only.
Oh, we set her off. Craig Smith, Kardashians, April the 14th, Disney Plus. Thank you, Craig. Hi from the New Forest, says Carolyn Drake. Love Radio 4, LBC and Classic FM, says Vanessa Wild. What's your favourite radio programme, guys? What do you listen to out of choice? Skyleys, how you feeling, Mark? Okay, better. Definitely an improvement from where I've been in the last 2 weeks. We are going to talk about that in How to Stay Married tomorrow. But
because
it's been tricky.
Mark's been so ill, mentally, health-wise, for the last couple of weeks. We haven't talked about it because he was too unwell, really.
No, and there've been moments where it's proven entirely therapeutic to escape on here and talk to you guys.
But like sometimes he's been doing coffee moaning and then collapsing.
And then I'm in the corner just sobbing.
But we've pondered over whether we should do a podcast, because I didn't want to do it while Mark was feeling as low as he was. But you're really through it, aren't you? It was just a dark episode. So, as always, there's no benefit to us other than us having that conversation and knowing how much it helps other people. So we're probably going to do it tomorrow, aren't we?
I think we should focus on it from your perspective as well.
Oh, God.
Because, oh yeah. People are talking about what their favourite radio stations are. Pauline Roberts, Virgin Radio, Me Tube, The Archers, and The Infinite Monkey Cage. That's I'm not surprised you like The Infinite Monkey Cage. Classic FM in the evening, Leslie Culpin. I have to say, sort of radio...
There's an absolute cut-off time. But except now we like Nick Abbott at 10 o'clock.
Nick Abbott at 10 o'clock.
I was getting a brand.
But when I was younger, I mean, the Radio 1 Top 40 was a must-listen, wasn't it? Yeah, because you didn't have this world of streaming, so you knew that anything that was released, you would listen to it, you'd get it on the Top 40. And if it wasn't on the Top 40, you'd be desperately crestfallen because it meant your band wasn't cool. Capital with Roman Kemp. Deborah Holdsworth, listened to BBC Radio Cornwall, as I miss Cornwall so much. Clodagh Egan, I love Freshly Squeezed on East Coast FM. Elsa Pop, I love listening to the shipping forecast as I fall asleep. Such an old soul.
Oh my God, you reminded me to do that. I used to do that when I was
Chroma
breastfeeding.
Dogger. Well, I can't think of anything else to say. Chroma Dogger, that's it.
Is there an app that does that switches off?
Maybe.
Shipping forecast is so good.
Shitting forecast. She'll be taking a dump in Dogger.
Mark,
She'll be taking a wee.
have you ever tried this Metaxa? Greek brandy, it's really nice.
Can't say I have. I
Because
probably
I've got
did.
a tickle.
Steph Schultz flicks between 4 stations to find a song she likes. The bit I get frustrated by is the adverts. You're listening, and then you just have to turn off. I love listening to the shipping news as well. Says,
Yeah, I used to always
Steph.
listen to it when I was breastfeeding.
Did you? Oh. Radio 2 until Jeremy Vine comes on. Russell.
I can't read it properly because of my glasses. I have to sit right back here. But somebody was saying what station Nick Abbott's on. He's 10 till 1 on LBC.
Yeah.
I think just the weekend.
Who else used to do that thing when the top 40 would be? For any youngsters, you won't know what the hell we're talking about, but there used to be a show called the Top 40, and every Sunday they would run. Was it Sunday? I think it was.
Is there anything like that anymore?
They'd run through the top 40 tracks. I don't know, maybe there is, but the top 40 streaming tracks. And I used to make cassettes of the best tracks, and you'd time it so that you wouldn't hear. Because you know what they used to do in the old days? The broadcaster's voice would have to go over the beginning of the track and the end of the track so that it didn't mean that people could do bootleg cassettes.
Yeah.
So they'd often talk quite lengthily, I think they still do it, quite lengthily
It's
into
so
a track.
annoying.
Yeah, and so I would always try and aim
Like,
for the
shut up.
point that they stopped, and then I would start recording. And I had an audio recorder. Sorry, we're disturbing you.
No, go on, Dad.
We had an audio recorder that
Carry
had a volume setting, so you could fade up. God, how bloody weird was I? And so you'd spend time fading up. So the task was to avoid any of the DJ's voices, which was hard. Yeah, I remember taping on cassettes as Louise1174 to try and get songs on with no chatter. Exactly.
Is there a station that just plays music without anyone talking?
I think there is, yeah. Jane O'Neill, I used to listen to Radio Luxembourg years ago. Wasn't that the kind of one that founded all the BBC? What was the radio station on a boat out at sea? Was that it? Gold Radio plays some... double finger recording, says Minky Moo, is an art. It really was. And does anyone remember the difference between a metal audio cassette and a chrome audio cassette?
Can I just say I'm getting quite bored?
Okay.
I mean, you've gone right off on one, Mark.
Okay. Sorry about that.
A what and a what? A chrome and a what?
Did you never notice that there was look, Leslie Sargent remembers. There would be chrome audio cassettes and there'd be metal.
Right? What did you prefer, a chrome or a metal?
Metal was better. And they used to have 60-minute and 90-minute
No,
cassettes.
really, you need to stop.
But the 90-minute cassettes
I'm being a
would
friend.
snap more
I'm
easily.
being a friend.
I didn't realise I knew all this about audio cassettes.
Jesus Christ, and I'm so happy you've now realised. Come on, babe,
So
honestly, mix it up.
So, all right.
Spoken for about 10 minutes about taste.
Sorry, guys. Well, let's talk about the story that's really, really aggravated us today. Certainly me, and I think obviously Nads, is the the Nazanin story. Subsequent to her press conference with her and her husband talking about, what it was like, or actually choosing not to talk about the exact details of what it was like being incarcerated.
I've actually, because I think it's
You've
really...
listened to more of it, haven't you?
I think it's... She's very, very strong on what she'll talk about and what she won't talk about. She's had 6 years of her liberty taken and her freedom of choice and speech and everything. And here she is back home now, thank God. She doesn't want to talk about what happened to her in that prison. And I've been reading all about Evan Prison today, a grimmer prison you will probably not find on this earth.
Absolutely.
It is horrific, absolutely horrific. And the fact that there are people that worked very hard yesterday to get hashtag send her back trending. The fact that Nick Ferrari on his radio show today said she could have been a bit more grateful has incensed us both.
It's quite remarkable. I mean, I tuned into the radio this morning to hear a chap called Jason saying she should have her She should, she should have a British passport taken from her. She was Iranian. Why was she there in the first place if she knew what the regime was like? A total lack of empathy or sympathy for her. And Nick Ferrari put up a very limp and lame sort of, he clearly wanted to generate what I think one journalist describes as a sort of pushchair suburban army of criticisers and trolls to kind of home. And the idea that on Twitter you could have hashtag send her back.
So basically,
it's just remarkable.
Yes, at the press conference, in case you didn't see it, which I think was the most remarkable. I got goosebumps watching her. What people have to remember is that she's been about 18 months now under house arrest with her parents, not allowed to leave the garden or anything. So she had 18 months out of prison. And it seems to be that people are very, very unhappy that she didn't look like Terry Waite. And people have been putting up pictures of Terry Waite who come directly from being hostaged and tied up, and her, and saying, bit strange, absolutely disgusting. Let us not forget, this poor woman was on her way home, having visited her parents in Iran, and was taken hostage by the Iranian government.
She wasn't there for any other purpose other than visiting her parents.
Right? 5 different foreign ministers haven't been able to get her out, and whilst our dear Bojo, who was working very hard at that time to become Prime Minister, was Foreign Minister, he actually, as many of you know, put his foot so far in it, he got her an extra probably 2 or 3 years in prison by saying that she was training Iranian journalists. They then used that as collateral against her and to prove that she was a spy. So, as she said, why should my life have been taken, so much of my life, for global events? She was a political pawn, okay? We didn't want to pay 400 million quid that we owed. Okay, so we all know that. So at the press conference, her husband said, I want to thank the government and I want to thank Liz Truss. Now, he is so grateful. He is so happy. He's so thankful that she's back. He said that almost in a Stockholm Syndrome kind of way. And she firmly said, I love you, Richard. I respect your point of view, Richard, but I don't agree with it. Well, this has pissed people off.
But can I just add
and I just think, how can that piss you off?
Yeah.
It's so sexist.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that she should have thanked the government. It's like, what's his name? Who's the ex-foreign minister? He said, she shouldn't be thanking us. She should be asking us for an explanation.
Jeremy Hunt.
Jeremy Hunt.
Yeah. Well, I heard an interview with Jeremy Hunt a couple of nights ago on the radio. And he was talking about the fact that when he was foreign minister, because they had this sanction situation where sanctions were against Iran, there was an argument that you can't be seen to be. Plus, also, to be fair, when Donald Trump came in, he was fiercely in opposition to any of his allies having any engagement with Iran. So there's that issue. 2 points on that. 2016 sanctions were lifted, so there was a window of time there that it could have been done. And Jeremy Hunt said something really interesting on the radio the other night. He said he was trying to find a way to pay the debt in gold, and they had discussions with other countries around the world that they would be able to kind of send that amount of money in gold rather than in hard cash or as a part of a contractual agreement. And the Foreign Office said no. Jeremy Hunt said that. Jeremy Hunt actually admitted that there were powers that be within the government that actually stopped it. Now, the thing about this press conference, which I think is really, really outrageous, is no one's really reporting or commenting, and Nick Ferrari certainly wasn't commenting on this morning. She thanked everyone she needed to thank. You know, there was that aspect of it. She didn't just sit there.
A lot of people report, she made a very long list of thank yous, but she didn't thank the government. What, thank the government for being the reason that she was in prison? Thank the government for the reason that she had an even worse time than she should have, because Boris, because he hadn't read his notes properly, called her a journalist. But I'm telling you this now, this is sexism. She wasn't a damsel in distress. She wasn't a broken, crying woman. The rage she must feel at the injustice. All those people that are trying to get this bloody hashtag trending, I want you to spend 1 hour in that prison. Just 1 hour for something that you didn't do. And then you talk about who should be grateful and who shouldn't be grateful.
But
Shocking.
But the irony is, she's come out of a sort of system which, prevents freedom of expression.
Yeah.
She comes to this country
And
where
look how
freedom of
she's
expression,
treated.
and look at how she's treated. Look at the very people who are screaming at her. I mean, I just can't believe it.
But
It's
do you think a lot of it's rooted in sexism?
I think it's rooted
I mean,
in
Terry Waite
sexism.
was
I think
given
it's
an
rooted.
OBE.
I think it's rooted in sexism and racism.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of racist comments. Why would you go to a country with such a terrible regime?
If you've got an Iranian passport, why don't you live there? I mean, all sorts of things being said. I mean,
Oh my
it's
God,
just
I literally have got the biggest girl crush on her. I have never seen such... Now think of the trauma that she's in. She's in a safe house. She needs to break down what she wouldn't talk about anything about the solitary confinement. I know that she had things, she had multiple, lumps in her breast. She had a lot of medical things going on for her. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to talk about that. She doesn't want to talk about her trauma. She's got a child that she doesn't want to traumatize anymore. And because of that, she's being judged. If she'd been broken and on her knees, and she had talked about all the wounds and all the things that had happened to her, it would be very, very different. But because she sat there with strength and articulacy and such authority, it's really pissed people off.
Yeah, she wasn't grateful enough. That seems to be what the problem is. She was grateful, but she wasn't
Grateful enough.
Yeah,
So it's the last time her daughter saw her and her husband and her all together when she was 18 months. Her daughter, when she used to have to go and visit her in prison, had to have a sack over her head as a small child. Yeah. And you're asking her to be more grateful.
Yeah, no, it's astonishing. Can I just say, a number of people here, some saying they're Iranian, others saying they're married to Iranians. Once again, we're not saying for a minute that the Iranian people are responsible.
It's the Iranian government.
It's the system and it's the government.
God.
It's the government. Reese says that's the life of minorities. You're never supposed to complain and air your grievances,
not get angry,
but just sit and shut up and be grateful for existing. What has Britain done to earn such blind loyalty from us?
Yeah, but even as women, you have to tone down how angry you are. You can be angry, but don't be too angry. That's why I love to do my rants on Instagram, because I'm a 360-degree woman. Sometimes I'm upset, sometimes I'm mucking about, dressing up as Kim Kardashian, sometimes I'm fucking furious at the injustices that go on day by day. And we've been so caught up in this story over the 6 years, and our heart's been, and it's been so joyful. It's been so joyful of coming out, and it's like, really? Can we not just take a minute before we get the nasty knives out?
Yeah, no, it's just shocking. I can't even understand why people would want to cut her down. I literally don't understand it.
I think it's jealousy.
Jealousy
I
of
think
what?
I think it's her education. I think it's her.
The fact that she didn't look.
She was
like
smart, she was together, she was authoritative, she was good looking. I mean, some people were saying things like, well, she's very good looking. I mean, it's like, so the fuck what?
Terrible.
Would you have been happy if they cut her ear off? Or if they...
Well,
I mean, what did you want?
I hate to say it, I think there is that prurient desire for people to be emaciated, taken to the edge of things.
That's why they've shown the photos of Terry Waite, like this is a real hostage.
Yeah, it's outrageous. I can't even...
Okay, so what if they'd done nothing physical to her at all? Okay, which we know they did, because we know those from early days of Richard talking about that. You try solitary confinement for a fucking day, a week, a month, a year, another year. I mean, I was reading another prisoner story from Evan prison, and the solitary confinement, I mean, he tried to kill himself just from the solitary confinement. It's just unbearable. And you could come out without a mark on you, and yet the mental torture that you've gone through, I mean, they did. They kept telling her she was going to go home, then she wasn't going to go home. Every foreign minister told her this was it. They were going to get her out, and they never got her out. And she sat there, contained. Her daughter was there with them. She was in the audience with them at the press conference. Is she really going to say all the trauma that she'd been through so that everyone could feel sympathy for her?
A couple of good comments there. Natalie Mottal, those type of people feed off confrontation. Some will be saying these things just to get attention and to laugh when people get mad. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Jordan...
But I still think it's really important that you challenge that.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy to just go, oh, well, they're just arseholes. No. We should challenge it all the time because it's like I said to Mark, is this just a couple of people on Twitter? But it's like this was trending.
Yeah,
this
trending
was
on
a lot of people.
Someone just said, hang on a minute, we all went doolally having to self-isolate in our homes.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
true.
missed who said that.
Yeah.
Jordan Stevenson says, I bet the government is loving the hate against her because it once again moves attention away from their failings.
Boris.
Yeah.
And the fuck-ups.
Yeah.
He got her extra time in prison. They made an advert out of him saying she trained journalists and pumped it out on Iranian television, the government.
Yeah. Jane Bentley, you're the one who said we went doolally being isolated in our own home. And we can't have any compassion. Yeah, you know, you're
and
right.
And of course, we reiterate again, this is the Iranian government, not the Iranian people.
Yeah.
People get too confused.
Anthony Cottam, I'm ashamed of being a Tory today because of the disgusting sexist and outright racism that is coming from the right. I was so outraged. And it's really interesting, isn't it? All I'm hearing on the radio at the moment is Conservative MPs saying that Partygate is an insignificance given everything else happening in the world. And what I don't understand about that argument is, can't more than one thing happen at once?
Exactly.
And can't more than one thing have a different set?
Stupid.
Can't more than one thing have a different set of criteria applied to it? Because an interesting story that slipped through today was all of Boris Johnson's correspondence regarding Partygate and WhatsApp has been lost. That's curiously convenient, isn't it? And I bet
It's corrupt.
And I bet it's not pushed to the top of the news agenda at all. And so that's why he wants
This
to get.
government
That's
is
why.
fucking
That's why he
corrupt.
wants to get to Kiev. That's why he wants all of this to come. And you're right. You're absolutely right. This will be yet another way to kind of distract, and you know, it's just really frustrating.
I think they're mucking about a bit there because the father that wasn't allowed to be there when his baby was born, the granddaughter that wasn't allowed to hold the hand of her grandmother. Everybody has a story of what those lockdowns meant. So I think they're really foolish to think that everyone's just going to go, oh well.
Well, and also just search it.
Never
Put
mind.
Boris Johnson WhatsApp Partygate, and you'll see that apparently his huge swathes of WhatsApp messages have gone. You know, because they apparently WhatsApp, I think, self clears or something. Like that. Anyway. So yeah, Nazanin has been it's like you said, you know, lockdown has kind of made the haters hate more and the compassionate more compassionate. So it's just such a shame to see that, isn't it? The other story I've got here is that in Ukraine, obviously this is only coming from Ukrainian reports, and that's just the reason I say that is that there's propaganda on both sides for, you know, valid and not valid reasons when it comes to the Ukrainians, obviously keeping morale up and all that kind of stuff. But a number of British observers, pundits, and the Ukrainians are saying that Russian forces, it feels like they're retreating. They're having so many defections, so many garrisons are sort of, you know, and platoons are sort of just dropping their weapons and just giving up. Obviously, it's not happening enough because the bombing and the siege-like mentality is there.
But is that because that's all by air? Is it more this is on the ground?
No, this is what I'm talking about. On the ground, morale is going. Troops.
No, but I mean, is most of it coming from the air now?
Well, that's why it's probably coming from the air, because I think once they realise that their ground troops haven't really got the stomach for it and aren't really involved, they're going to start. But you know, we've said it all along.
But where will they go? Those troops? They can't go back to Russia.
Well, this is why they're saying they could well be retreating. You know, retreating to places where they can sort of bed themselves in far enough away from places like Kiev, Kharkiv. You know, various areas. I mean, the Ukrainians are managing to push them back into the suburbs of so many cities. So once again, the resistance is strong. The morale of Russian soldiers is weak. A Russian media outlet reported, and then it was immediately buried. Oh God, that's a terrible use of phrase, because apparently this was a sanctioned Russian TV station, I think, reported that 10,000 Russian soldiers have died, which is a figure that completely contradicts the something like 1,500 or something, 900 and something that the Russians have actually admitted to officially. But can you believe actually a state-backed media outlet, for some reason, announced that it was 10,000? So,
do you think that's because they might have changed their tactic in that now they want to tell the Russian people that the Ukrainians are murdering your sons? Support
very
this
good point.
war.
Very good point. You know, it could be. Absolutely, it could be. It could be sort of like a reverse propaganda push by the Russians. Again, it always just begs the question: if the Russians struggle anymore, what will be the next move? When will Putin and Zelensky meet? Will that meeting have any meaning? I think if Zelensky was to compete with Putin in an arm wrestle, I think Zelensky would win. Don't you?
Yeah,
definitely. I think they need to kind of get back to basics. And I read a really frustrating report today about the next person who could replace Putin. So let's not really go there, shall we? A particular story, Nadia, you wanted to talk about was hospice nurse shared 4 biggest regrets.
5, I think. Oh, it's 4. You're right.
Of the dying. I can read, you see.
So this is. I've told you about this. This woman before. She's on TikTok. She's an American hospice nurse. So she looks after the dying. She's Julia McFadden, if you want to follow her on TikTok.
Julie, yeah.
Julie McFadden. She's quite. It's weird because I came across her a while ago, and she does strangely draw you in, and she just really simply tells you all the different kinds of deaths.
I was talking to? Not
Well,
quite.
she's an actual nurse, but
Right.
But anyway, she said the 4 biggest regrets of the dying are uncannily similar.
Right.
And they go with number 1, people regretting that they didn't look after themselves better. So there's a huge lesson. You know, it's all that your health is your wealth. I'm constantly trying to get Mark and Maddie to agree with me on this. Kiki does. Kiki's like my...
What, get us to eat veg?
To just go with it, like she'll
Yeah.
say to Mum, I just feel like this, what could I eat, or what could I... She really looks after her health.
Yeah.
Because once you've lost it, it's so difficult to get back. Number 2 was not appreciating the simple things in life. And then the next one was working their life away and not spending enough time with their family. Now, if you think about all these things that people, she says, you know, a huge portion of people when they die, these are their regrets and the different. These are all the things, holistic living, talk about focusing, whether it's meditation, whether it's whatever, of those things. To look after yourself, to be mindful, to appreciate the small things, to have gratitude, to spend time with those that you...
Just back to 4G. Just one sec. Yeah, go on.
All the, like, you know, not fad health gurus, but the true health gurus. You know, if I think about my yoga teacher, if I think about our homeopath, if I think about all those people, like today I met somebody and she had such serenity. I said to Lisa, it's so rare that you see people with real serenity. I'd love to have serenity. I remember when you first came out of rehab, you had serenity.
Yeah.
It's just the most, oh my God, fascinating thing to me. When somebody is just quite easy with themselves, they're contained, they're not pushing anything, they have gratitude, they have...
I mean, there must be so much regret, especially if you've done something, I don't know, like smoking, and that's maybe the cause of your illness, or drinking, and that's, you know, the more sort of obvious kind of health decisions that you've made. Obviously, there's the not attending to your diet and all that kind of stuff. But it's also that thing of how many times do you hear parents say, I don't remember my kids as you know, I don't remember my kids too much because we were too busy working, you know.
And you know, you can't be blamed for that because you're working all the time because you want to give them a good life. But it is, are we sometimes going for more than a good life?
Exactly.
Is it for more holidays than you need, or more clothes than you need,
Yeah.
or a car that you could probably manage without? And then, because kids want their families, they want their parents.
Absolutely.
We say that, don't we? We say, oh God, so much of it just went by because we were just working.
So there you go. From the front line of death,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be learned. And
She's interesting.
Yeah,
On
she's
TikTok,
interesting.
Julie, what's the second
And
name?
I like this concept. Again, this death doula that I was talking to several months ago, she was talking about how a death can be a gift, much in the same way that a birth can be a gift. You know, you can learn so much about life to be lived through a loved one dying. You know, there's a lot.
That's why this woman on TikTok said apparently a lot of people follow her because they've been scared of death and they feel much happier about death.
Right.
They feel much easier about death having
Oh,
watched
right,
it.
isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Just a final story that someone sent me, a friend sent me. Thank you for sending it to me, by the way. This is a remarkable story. Owners in America, was it Colorado, North Carolina, took their dog, their black and brown pooch, Fezco, to a dog shelter because they said he was gay.
No.
Yeah, homophobic owners
No.
dropped him off at a shelter.
Shut the front door.
The owners of a dog in North Carolina gave him up because they believed he was gay. According to the shelter, the owners rejected him after they saw him mounting another male dog. A common canine behaviour that is not necessarily sexual. I mean, exactly.
my
Toffee humps
God.
Chi-Chi's bed all the time. But yeah, a Stanley County Animal Shelter Facebook post says the dog owner surrendered him to the shelter after he humped another male dog. Can you actually believe that? And it led me to just do a little bit of research into homosexuality in the animal world. And this is really interesting. From PETA. Try and guess which animal sexuality is predominantly homosexual. So most of their sexual activity is with the same sex. Try and guess. See if you can guess what animal that would be. There's lots of animals that engage in bisexual sex. There's often scenarios like there were penguins in New York Zoo, 2 male penguins that were partners for life. Yeah, absolutely. And apparently that happens a lot with same-sex penguins. And because penguins commit for life, they're committed for life. So penguins is one.
Or if they adopt babies.
Yeah,
or
maybe.
if they look after eggs that
there are cases of them, of penguins
because it's
always
actually
taking...
the male penguin that
Yes.
sits on the egg, isn't it?
Seahorses, says Ruthie Tootie. Worms. Chimps, says Me Too. You're going to be surprised. I was really surprised. Really surprised. A few more coming in. Dolphins. Dolphins are one of the few animals that partake in sex just purely for enjoyment. Japanese macaques. They like...
Do they have intercourse, dolphins?
Yeah, they do, yeah. Penguins, famously monogamous, but they link up with one partner for life, and there are countless same-sex penguin couples.
Extraordinary, they link up for life.
Reports show that bottlenose dolphins engage in non-reproductive sexual activity without regard for biological sex. One pod of Amazon River dolphins was spotted engaging in homosexual group sex. Lions, you're absolutely right. Lions are up there, as are elephants. Well, these are all animals that partake of same-sex relationships or activities. But the animal with the most inclination towards a sort of homosexual partners or sex or anything like that are giraffes.
Good God.
Giraffes. Studies show, get this, that gay sex among giraffes makes up over 90% of all observed sexual activity in these animals. 90%, meaning that giraffes engage in more same-sex loving than they do opposite-sex loving.
Oh, no wonder they're going extinct.
Male giraffes are especially interested in each other. They're known to rub their necks along each other's bodies and spend many hours courting and caressing their potential partner. Simply put, giraffes are big on homosexuality.
Good
Oh,
God.
passive-aggressive, did you say that? Did you say yes?
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. No, I just thought that was really interesting. So there you go. And I remember the story of the gay penguins. They were so sweet. I think they or one of them has died now, but they were a tourist attraction at the Central Park Zoo. So there you go. You learn something new every day on this channel, don't you just? So guys, have a lovely evening.
Love
we'll see you on the morrow. Lots of love. Stay safe.